In self-defense-based martial arts, you often train to fight someone who doesn't know how to fight, which is pretty different than fighting someone who knows their stuff, right? And when you're training with someone, especially when they're not as experienced and you're taking on the role of the attacker, you purposefully telegraph that punch. Hey, I'm James, and I want you to know that I never ate a bunch of mushrooms and got stuck at a metal shed casino in the middle of the desert because I wasn't fit to drive out of there. Obviously never happened. And I'm here to talk about dungeons and designs on Crumbling Keeps, the Dungeon Dorks. Telegraphing. It's the art of letting someone know what's coming. When someone is going to punch you, especially someone who isn't trained, there are signs. They draw their hand back. Their hip starts to move. They yell at you, I'm gonna punch you. You know, things like that. Seeing that, you have options to respond with. You can block the punch. You can cover up. You can move inside of its range. You can step back and get outside of its range. But when the punch hits, it's already too late. That's where telegraphing comes in. Telegraphing danger gives us clues of what to do, and in that particular scenario, it builds confidence. In RPG games, telegraphing is dope. I hold the theory that the best RPG games are about making interesting decisions. And that's why traps so often suck. You didn't roll high enough to see the pit trap, you lose hit points. There's no decision there. There's just a dice roll. It's just a hit point suck. Meh. But the best traps are telegraphed. There's a different shade of color on the floor. The stonework looks different. There's a skeleton in this room, and it's holding on to a magic stone. There are a lot of small holes in the ceiling. The floor is covered in scratch marks. All of those things inspire curiosity and, better yet, exploration. What the trap does now is due to the player's reactions and decisions. And decisions that have weight are good decisions. They're going to want to take a stick and poke the floor, throw something down it, see what happens. Try and look into those holes in the ceiling, which may not be the best idea if there's a dart waiting to come out of them. But playing the gotcha game isn't fun. You walk into a room, the ceiling falls on you. No warning. That's not interesting for anyone involved. So give the players more info, not less. Give them the info that is going to make them ask questions. The ceiling of this room looks crumbling and jagged. They're going to want to know more about that. You want to give them enough info that afterwards, when things do go wrong, they can at least think, oh, we really should have seen that coming. And telegraphing is not just for traps. It's great for all kinds of geographical storytelling. A keyed location, can hint on what the next location is. If you're in a dungeon and you're in a room, what can they hear? What can they see in relation to the next room? In my Dungeon 25 project I'm working on, I have a troll arm, a severed troll arm, laying in one of the chambers, which is right next to a section of the caves that is full of ice trolls. And the fun thing is That troll arm will regenerate over time as the players go back and forth through that location. And there's many holes on the walls because these trolls can climb and they have little barbs in their feet. And those are all clues that will make sense after the whole answer is revealed and they find their first troll and see that it has little barbs all over it. Then all the time after that, they'll know that's a sign. Telegraphing. Sure, it could be more deadly if there was no telegraphing. Just run into a room and there's trolls. But there's no interesting decision there. Finding a troll arm and deciding if you want to proceed or go somewhere else, now that's a decision to make. A light down the bottom of a pit. A flute, when played, that is answered in kind from farther along the rock ledge. These are all clues that tell the players to do something, and they have to decide. If they're in a dungeon that's supposedly uninhabited, what does a light down the bottom of the pit mean? Maybe it's an ally. It's rarely an ally. But who's playing that flute? That is eerie. Do we want to move toward that or away from it? But it's not only for dungeons either. A good hex can have clue hexes around it. If there's an owlbear cave, what kind of things might be in the surrounding hexes? The bones of its prey, tracks, droppings, things that hint that a creature is nearby. A castle likely has patrols riding around its perimeter. If getting close to a town, there's probably people traveling to it. Merchants, pilgrims, people on vacation, folks that are going to or coming from where you just came from, and they can be good sources of rumors and news, etc. Or at the very least, if the players are lost in the wilderness, give them directions. Oh yeah, just head north. And the clues can be blatant or not. Not all telegraphing has to be instantly discernible as to what it is telegraphing. Finding wolf tracks means there's wolves around. Easy peasy. But finding a carving of, say, a cow skull on a stone monolith out in a field, no one knows what that is. But when you get to the 7th level of the dungeon, it might suddenly click as more clues fall into place, or you see the very being that it was meant to depict. Telegraphing gives you information to make decisions with. When that fist cocks back, you gotta decide what you're gonna do. I'd suggest rolling initiative. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you have any questions about anything I talked about here today or on any past episodes of Dungeon Dorks, go to crumblingkeep.com/question and ask away, or just check the link in the show notes.